morning. Welcome to another edition of Legal Access. Every week we get together to talk about different aspects of the law. Today we're going to be talking about bankruptcy. If you have any questions about bankruptcy, the phone number is on your screen right there. Give us a call. We'll get you on the air and get those questions answered for you over the next 30 minutes. Phone number is 848-8080. Call us here today at Legal Access. We'll get your questions answered. Here on the panel to answer your questions today on bankruptcy, to my left from the McGuire Law Firm is Ian McGuire.
Good to see you, Dave.
Also want to welcome back Margaret Evans.
Morning.
And to your left we have Jackson Turner-Vaught.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's great to have Margaret and Jackson back with us with bankruptcy, which is always a popular and interesting show. And you said you're going to be answering questions. I won't be answering any questions. So I said I was never so glad to see two people show up because I wouldn't be much help. But Margaret, why don't you start telling us a little about your practice and your firm? And I know you do both family court and, of course, bankruptcy. So.
Yes, Ian. My name's Margaret Evans. I'm a partner with the law firm of McCutcheon, Vaught, Getty, and Hucks. I've been there since 2017. I do consumer bankruptcy, mostly chapters 7 and 13. I do some family court work, and I do some wills and estates as well.
And do a great job with that. And your firm does a host of other areas of law, I know,
yes.
As personal injury.
We do some personal injury, real estate, workers' compensation, most types of civil litigation, and some criminal defense.
Yep. And great attorneys, a great law firm. Jackson, it's great to have you back with us. And,
Thank you.
And tell us about, I know you practice entirely with tax and bankruptcy. Is that my understanding?
That's right. I have 3 companies. I have the bankruptcy law firm. I have a tax resolution firm where we help people with back tax problems, and then I have a tax preparation business, and we're in full swing right now.
I know. So you're a good man to be with us today because I know how busy you must be this time of year. But he's a great attorney. It's great to have you both with us, as I said. And if you have any questions, give us a call, 843-848-8080. That's 843-848-8080. And our topic today, again, is bankruptcy law.
And before we get started, I just want to let you know there is some weather concerns out there today. And if you are concerned about what's happening, make sure and keep it right here on WMBF News. We'll be keeping an eye on the skies and letting you know about anything you need to know about weather-wise. So right here at WMBF News is all you need to do and all you need to know as far as weather today. Now let's go ahead and get into bankruptcy. Now, Margaret, Jackson, I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now with people trying to stretch their bank accounts as much as they can, and people might think they're in worse trouble than they are. But when is the scales tipped that somebody needs to talk to you guys about bankruptcy? When does it get bad enough that people need to start thinking about that, for at least personally?
I'll let Jackson start.
Okay.
I think probably the best time to at least consider it is when you're having a hard time making those credit card payments, when you're living check to check and you're making them, but it's getting harder and harder because it could be that you could stop paying those and you'd have extra money, and bankruptcy could help you do that.
And I know people with bankruptcy have a sort of, sometimes have a negative sentiment to it, and they're worried about what it'll do to their credit in the future. Are those things that you talk about with your clients when they come in?
Yes. One of my goals with clients going through bankruptcy is to not only provide them with the relief they're looking for, but to try to give them the tools moving forward in the future after the bankruptcy so they don't have to come back to me for another bankruptcy. Education is a big part of that. Learning how to budget, learning how to manage your assets, when to file, when to what to do, when to do it. Timing is very important in bankruptcy filings and also after bankruptcy.
And I know Jackson mentioned your credit cards, and I could see how easily, you go to college and they actually come to the college and they're selling you these credit cards and you're a kid. And once you get in that system and you're at 20% or whatever it is a month that you're paying back, it can get to a point where it's very, very hard to get out of that hole. Is that right?
That's right, especially if you're just making minimums. There's a legend they put on the credit card statements a few years back that says, if you pay this amount, it'll take you 30 years to pay it back. You know,
Wow.
if you pay a little bit more, you can save this much and pay it back a lot faster. But if you're struggling just to make the minimums, you're in a trap that you may not be able to get out of.
And I think going to that point, or talking about that a little bit further, I think the litmus test that I generally provide to clients is if you can't reasonably pay your debts in 3 to 5 years and become debt-free, then you really need to consider filing bankruptcy.
Now, let's educate people. Now, as far as filing for bankruptcy from a personal standpoint is concerned, you filed for bankruptcy. Now, that takes care of your debts. What about your personal property?
There are exemptions for personal property. There's a homestead exemption. There's an exemption for retirement accounts. Those are constantly moving targets. And we get to exempt whatever the statutory limit is. And what that basically means is, can you keep a house? Yes, provided you don't have the Taj Mahal. Can you keep your car? Yeah, but probably not a Maserati. So there's the goal of the bankruptcy court is to give you a fresh start and not leave you homeless and penniless. But you by the same token, you're not going to have a lot of stuff either.
Right. So, okay, you got your personal, you're holding on to that. Now, your debts, a lot of people just say, okay, well, my debts are going to be going away. What's the reality?
If it's not student loans, it probably is going away. Student loans are non-dischargeable. That's one of the few debts that you can't get rid of in either a 7 or a 13. But most of the other stuff does go away. Credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, payday loans, finance company loans, all those kinds of things.
Domestic support obligations cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. Given my family law practice, I get a lot of folks that come in with alimony or child support arrearages. And while a 13 may keep them from going to J. Reuben Long on a given day for a rule to show cause, it's not going to discharge them either. They're still going to have to repay those. Generally, that's going to be through a Chapter 13 plan where they maintain regular payments and then catch up the arrearage of the child support or the alimony over the life of the plan.
All right, sounds good. Tell you what, we're going to run to a break here real quick right now. When we get back, we'd love to answer your questions. If you have any questions about bankruptcy, when you should file bankruptcy, what it means for your debts, what it means for your business, your personal life, whatever the case is. If you have any questions, the phone number is on your screen. Give us a call, and right after the break, we'll take those questions and give you some answers right here on Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Welcome back. It's Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Today's topic is bankruptcy, and remember, give us a call. The number's on your screen. We'd love to get you on, but also keep in mind that if we have any weather emergencies that you need to know about, we're keeping our eyes to the sky here at WMBF News. And if you need to know anything, we'll make sure and break in and let you know all the latest about any weather issues that are going on. Let's go to the phones right now. We have Teresa on the line from Little River. Teresa, hi. Thanks for calling in and thanks for listening through the break. What's your question for us today?
Yes, I filed bankruptcy over a year ago, and at the time they did not re-up my house. Like my house is not showing up on my credit report, and I'm wanting to refinance to lower my rate, and I want to know how long before I can get that fixed and be able to refinance.
So typically, if you did a Chapter 7, you usually need to be 2 years removed from your discharge to be eligible for a government-backed mortgage. As far as the reaffirmation, the judges in our district will not do reaffirmations on real estate. So you couldn't have done that even if you had wanted to. And so it will not show up on your credit report. It did get discharged, although you still have to make the payments if you want to keep the house.
But after 2 years, will she be eligible at least to try to get a mortgage on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I would spend this time working on rebuilding your credit and putting, possibly some money down. You may need some closing costs and things like that to be able to make it happen. But rebuilding the credit, getting that score up is going to help you get the best rates you can get.
You mentioned trying to build your credit back up. What are some ways to do that? 'Cause I think that's
One of the ways you can do that, and that I recommend to clients, are to have a minimum of 3 accounts. Most mortgage lenders will tell you that they want to see 3 credit lines at a minimum that are being paid on time. What I generally advise my clients to do is to open those 3 accounts and use them, even if it's to buy a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, and immediately turn around and pay it off. Don't have any late payments. And another trick I try to provide to my clients is post-bankruptcy, make sure that you set your credit cards to pay the minimum balance every month automatically.
Right.
That way you'll never have a late payment. You can always pay more, which is a great idea, but at least if they are set to pay the minimum, you'll never get dinged with a late payment, because that's the biggest factor in lowering your credit score.
Well, what if people are having trouble because of their bankruptcy, having trouble getting a credit card or getting credit somewhere? I mean, a lot of people are reluctant to give credit sometimes to people who are in bankruptcy.
There is a post-bankruptcy industry where there are certain lenders that are notorious for giving the first credit card post-bankruptcy. I would think most bankruptcy attorneys can send clients in a particular direction.
You should have no problem getting a credit card after bankruptcy. They want you to get credit. They want you to misuse it and get trapped again. You can't file another Chapter 7 for 8 years. So if they get you again, they've got you. What I tell clients is to only use the card to get 3, just like Margaret said, get 3 cards. Use them as a form of payment rather than spending money you don't have. So you use gas and groceries. You pay it off in full each month, so you're not paying any interest, because the interest rates will be astronomical. You need to focus. If you are using revolving credit, there's a very important thing called the utilization rate, which is the amount of your credit you're using. You need to be below 30%. So if you stay below 30% of your credit card limit, that is a positive thing. You're making timely payments.
Jackson, real quick, we got to cut. We need a weather update right now, so let's go ahead and find out what Jamie's doing in the Weather Center here on WMBF